Hello and welcome back to the channel. A little bit of a different video today. This is the WolfStar video. Surprise. Same format. But first off, what is WolfStar? My notes say it is a stupid made-up name, and that is pretty accurate. What I'm going to use this for is addressing topics that are not related to detailing products specifically. I've done one video that's kind of in this vein, one or two, I guess, if you count the influencers and the detailing tests, but this is going to be a lot more poignant than some of my other videos, and you will see specific language being used in this video because of the poignancy of it. I will be referencing things that are 100% true and other things that are alleged. And I'm using the word alleged from the advice I've received from some people in the legal realm because it protects me. Now, before I get into any of the juicy bits, two things. It is almost 27 degrees Celsius, which is whatever in Fahrenheit. I'll put it on the screen. In the garage, and I have to close the door because my neighbors will hear everything that goes on. So it's hot in here, and this is not an enjoyable place to be. Yeah, there is a good chance that what I'm talking about today will potentially lead to a legal action against myself. It has led to legal actions against other people. I'm not naming names, I'm not naming sources in this video. If you want to name yourself as one of my sources, feel free in the comments. But I came up with an idea and a plan to get around that. So if you're one of the people who may think about taking legal action against this video, first off, I'm in Canada, so if you're in the States, it's a lot more difficult. Secondly, what I will do will make sure that this video gets out. So stick around to the end to see what I'm going to do, should you go that way. But this video has to be made, this topic needs to be discussed, these things need to be brought to light. Because they're wrong, they're bad. And it needs to stop, it needs to change. Now, I am a firm believer in taking a negative and finding a positive. And if you stick with me through this video, you'll see how we can get there. And it's real simple. It's been done before. It's not magic. It's not new. This has been done before. YouTube's been around a long time, and it's made a lot of people very rich. It's made careers for thousands of people. This is not new stuff. So I have an idea. I have a solution to the issue that's going on in some sense. And I think it's very attainable. So stick around to the end if you still think you want to, get all hot and bothered with a lawyer. My advice, not a good idea. So moving on, first topic, big juicy topic. I don't know how to start this, but DIY Detail, Clean, Detail Co., Quiver, and the House of Rags just in general are all owned by the same person, company, investor. They're all the same entity. I have the court documents showing such. They will be linked in the description below. And let me preface what I'm going to say next with, who cares? Like, this is a nothing burger when it comes to partnerships and, licensing agreements or whatever the heck it is. I've heard that being used recently. It's not a huge deal. Like, it really isn't. It shouldn't be a huge deal. But if you want to go and do the things and say the things that make this a huge deal, then voila, congratulations, you made this a big deal when it didn't need to be. There's nothing wrong with partnering up with brands or companies and stuff like that. And we will get into the minutia of why there's nothing wrong with that and how you have to go about that to make that work, to make that a good thing. But, you know, I've got a lot of notes here. So if you see me look down, it's because I'm trying to stay on course here. But I don't understand why this needed to be kept hidden or lied about or whatever it is. I don't get it. If you had said, you know, and you know who I'm talking about because that's the title of the video. But there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, these are my friends. You know, I like these people. I trust these people. I've got an investor. I want to hop on board. I want to engage in the same sort of thing. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing. Like, that's really honestly how you know, most people have to go about doing this, because starting up a detailing company from scratch, bespoke formulas or whatever you want to throw around for your buzzwords, that takes an insane amount of time, an insane amount of capital. You know, just getting it into a bottle, let alone designing the labels and all that other crap. That's a huge undertaking. And to say you did it on your own and it's your thing and you're working on your own is kind of a slap in the face to all the people along the chain. It takes millions to move mountains. So I don't understand why this needed to be spun in a way, or, you know, given a narrative that just is 100% factually not true. Again, they're all linked below. So when you hear things like, you know, I came up with my formula, or I use my friend's chemist, they're all the same company. They're all owned by the same people, at least from the court documents that I have, which again, I'm going to share below. And again, leverage whatever you got to leverage in life to get ahead. Like, if you've got opportunities, go after them. That's how things work. That's how capitalist society works. It's, you know, the strong survive, right? And, you know, if you build a following, if you get to this place that these opportunities become available to you, then there's nothing wrong with taking advantage of them. But there's a way to go about it that is proper and fair and will build long-term success. We're not going to touch on the topic of, you know, a million ways to do the same thing, which seems to be what the detailing industry is sort of delving into. It's just there's a million options for every possible chemical you could need. But this narrative just did not need to exist. And one of the things that I personally think is a huge miss is the opportunity to, by taking this narrative, you have sort of taken away the whole buildup to the release. When you're talking, you know, social influencing and creating content and all that kind of malarkey, and I'm not the gospel on how to do any of that, but to take away that portion of it, to take away the content that you could share with your audience, the journey you go on to get an opportunity like this, to start a brand, to go through the minutia of, you know, taking formulas and tweaking them, or, you know, starting from scratch if you've got the capital to do that. You robbed your audience of content and connection. You've hidden this behind a curtain that could have been the curtain you want to rip open and share. And, you know, creates content, creates trust, it creates connection. All of these things were lost because you guys went about it this way. And we're going to get into some other things which I think are much more important to talk about, because I don't think that this is a big deal. I don't think that people teaming up together, coming under one umbrella, That's nothing new. In any industry, that's nothing new. So, yeah. So, moving on to the thing, though, that I have a huge issue with. And I did some checking leading up to filming this. Spoiler alert, I've known about this for a while. I'm talking months. I've known this for months. I wanted to share this right away. But I got wind of the legal things that went around with someone else that said something about it publicly, and the action taken against them. And I'm going to reiterate, you best watch till the end if you think about doing that, because I have come up with a way to make that miserable for you. So don't go there. Watch till the end and hear me out. But one of the things that I have a huge issue with is the creators that are joining up with Thor and doing the podcast. I have no issues with that. Let me be clear. I'm getting to what I have an issue with. Basically, and this will be an alleged, I have proof, but my source will not let me share it, and I'm respecting my source. But so it will remain alleged. But what is being alleged is that the creators who are doing the podcasts for Thor are being paid weekly. Not an insignificant amount of money when grand scheme of things. More than what I make a month from doing YouTube per week. That's a good chunk of change. And there's nothing wrong with getting paid for doing the work. Some of the podcasts are actually pretty good. Straight up, a couple of the podcasts I've seen a lot of them, but a few of the people doing the podcasts are doing a great job. Like, genuinely, they're doing a great job. It's a good podcast. But if you're on payroll, you're getting a weekly check, that's conflict. That is paid promotion. And YouTube requires you to disclose this. And now you might be saying, well, the podcasts are on one channel. But if that creator, is making content for a product, for Thor, one of the brands that they sell, and they're putting that on their channel, and they're getting those products for free, and making that content, even if they're not getting it for free, but if they're making that content with an affiliate link and all the other things compounding on top of it, that leads you back to Thor, and they're on the payroll of Thor, or they're getting a weekly check or a contract or whatever it is, that's paid promotion. And I went and checked for the last week. I've been poking around and looking at specific products, specific videos from specific creators, and none of them includes paid promotion tags at the top of the content. That's against YouTube's terms. You have to disclose that. And the other issue with that, and forgive me for looking down a lot, but the other issue is you're stating you're an independent reviewer and creator. You're not now. You're on payroll. You're getting cut checks. There's nothing wrong with that in the grand scheme. That's not a bad thing. But if you're going to say you're independent and not put those proper disclosures in that you are being paid and you're making this content, that's a huge issue. That is a big issue. This is a great time to go pause and go check those channels out and go check those products from the brands that Thor sells. I guarantee you, they're not there. They're not there. I've done a couple checks. They're not there. That's enough for me. And the alleged is being paid. If that's true, this is real bad. I'm doing this my way. I'm doing this content the way I want to do it. And if it works, great. If it doesn't, I don't give a shit. Genuinely, I don't give a shit. But if people are going out there and they're saying they're the same thing as I am, which is genuinely independent reviews, but they're getting cash on the side, they're getting, they're working with an agenda, they're working with a narrative, that's crap. That's genuine crap. I care about the ethical standards of your messaging and how you go about this. And this is a huge issue. And this doesn't need to be an issue. And I'm a big proponent of taking a negative and finding a positive. Because if you have a negative and you don't find a positive, you don't find a lesson to be learned or an outcome that changes this thing, it's useless. And this is a thing that people need to do in their day-to-day lives. You need to find, you have a problem, find the solution. That's how things work. That's how things get better. That's how things improve. And I have a solution to this. And it's going to be something that a lot of you on the face of it are going to be like, why the heck would we do that? But when you look at the alternative, it is so much better. And I'll show you why, but we've got a few pages to get through. So, yeah. Yeah, I think that's about all I had to say on that. So, yeah, again, being a creator, cashing checks, doing stuff for a brand or a company or whatever, not disclosing it, using products from that company, linking back to it, doing all this type of stuff. You're a promoter. You're promoting it. There's nothing wrong with that. They can be great products. It can be a great company, people you trust, your friends. You want to promote their stuff. You want to help them out. That's fantastic. But disclose it. You have to disclose it. That's the only kicker. And you can have so much fun with this. And I'll show you in a second when we're going to get there. But this is something that this is not a burden. This is not a negative point. This is how all of YouTube works, what we're going to get into. And this is what has to happen with the detailing realm of YouTube. It has to happen. Because what's going on right now is in the shadows, and it's crap. Content creators put a lot of time and effort. I'm not talking about myself here either. I do not put a lot of time and effort into my videos. Other people are putting a ton of time and effort into their videos. They deserve to be compensated for their time. They deserve to be able to make money through vetted affiliate links for products that stand out and that are genuinely good products, for companies that are good and behave well and have good products and have good people behind it. You deserve to be paid for your time. The company deserves to be able to have these abilities to work with you. This should happen. But there's a certain thing that must be there for this to work. And we'll get to that. This next thing, this is a big alleged, but as someone who has a pretty small channel and doesn't give two shits about the size of his channel or what goes on with it, some people care too much about this. And when you are monetized on YouTube, there is a tab that is available called promotions. I could pay money to have my channel advertised through YouTube. There's a set amount. You can change the amount you want to put into it and see what you get out. But it's a lottery. It is a genuine lottery. You don't know where they advertise it or how they advertise it. You don't know if it's going to generate subscribers and views. But it is an option to you, and it's built into YouTube. It is part of YouTube. Then you'll get people, and I get a lot of these emails. The most frequent email my channel email receives is people telling me that first off, they screw it up by saying, we really could increase your detailing business. I don't have a detailing business. I am not a full-time detailer. I detail my cars and for friends and family. But they'll come in, they'll email you and be like, hey, we can guaranteed increase your view count, guaranteed increase your sub count. The only way you can guarantee that is by using bots. Bots can be generated through software. You can say, I want 1,000 people, 1,000 bots, to subscribe to that channel. That is the only way you can guarantee you will get subs, and you can make those bots watch the channel. That's the only way you can guarantee views. Through promotions, there's a lot of factors to it. There's some great videos out there about how it works and what it does, But generally speaking, the cheapest, most effective way to use it, it will increase your sub count, but it won't do anything for views because they're essentially people subscribing that don't watch. And that term is a dead sub. You've got a high subscriber count, but a really low view count. That means the majority of your subscribers are not active. They're not watching your channel. They're not on YouTube anymore, whatever it may be. But you'll get these emails from people that are like, oh, we can increase your SEO and all that stuff. My channel name is all the nails in the coffin when it comes to SEO. So I don't give a crap. But yeah. So I've covered all this crap. Sorry, excuse me, reading. I'm not naming the channel, but I'll tell you this. One channel has 15,000 subscribers, and I literally went to Social Blade and pulled this information out. Social Blade is free. You can go look at the channel. You can go look at their graphs of subscriber and views and all this kind of crap. They got 15,000 subscribers. That's a good chunk of subscribers. It's a lot more than I have. And they gained 6,600 subscribers in the last 30 days. The channel's been around for years. That's weird. You don't just gain subscribers like that. And yeah, you know, maybe there's a switch that flips after a certain point. No, not really. So I'll give you an example. They had a video come out October 21st, 2024. They had a spike, and I'll put the image on here. They had a spike in views, October 21st, 2024. They hit 14,370 views. Okay, that was their peak for that month. So that was a good month. That peak, at the same time as that view peak, they gained 70 subscribers. Okay? Cool. Whatever. Every channel gains subscribers differently depending on your genre. Now, flash forward to April 14th, 2025. They hit 31,456 views. So that's just a smidge over double the views. So that's good. That's a good increase. It's not been a year. You know, you're looking at 6 months. They had a peak that was over twice as high. Did they have 150 subscribers? No. Did they have 250 subscribers peak? No. They had 1,630 subscribers peak. So they just over doubled their views, but I don't even know the math on how many more times that is in subscribers. That is something you can get from a bot. And this is alleged. But those numbers are fishy. Those numbers, those values are fishy. And I'm not naming the channel. I'm not going to go there. But watch out for that. Subscribers don't come out of nowhere. No matter who you are, no matter what you're doing, it is slow. And I'm not a great example of how fast it goes, but that doesn't equate, in my opinion. Allegedly. Ostrich. If you get that reference, thumbs up. But yeah, so that's some hanky shit going on. And it's not just one channel, but that's something to watch out for. When someone has a massive spike, you know, they're pushing 4 or 5 digit increase in subscribers, and they're, you know, like, I can't remember where I have a screenshot of it, but I'm not going to put it on because it calls out a channel specifically, but a channel with over 130 or 140,000 subscribers should not have less views than a channel with 40,000 subscribers. It just doesn't equate. Especially for a channel that has been trending up for a long time. That just doesn't make sense. That doesn't equate. that's fishy business, allegedly. I don't know why people are resorting to these things. Maybe you found a great guy that can just get you the views and, you know, use your AI thumbnails and all that crap, which is smack in the face of being a creator by using AI. But yeah, that's wrong. The math doesn't add up, in my opinion, allegedly. I'm going to throw that out a few more times. So that's my opinion. That's my take on this. It just doesn't happen that way. It just doesn't. So moving on. This will be fun. There has been podcasts a while back, maybe just under 2 years ago, where if you look at the court documents I've linked below and the dates, they correlate the podcast and the brand appearing happen around the same time, at least being signed into law. Maybe the creator wasn't picked then, but it seems weird that they wouldn't start a brand and not have a face for it. So that's what I'll say about that. And it jives out for a few of the podcasts. I'm not going to say what they are, who they are, but the dates sure do line up. And allegedly again, because this is a big alleged, it would be very interesting if podcasts where brands are appearing and showing up on a weekly, bi-weekly, whatever it was. I didn't follow them that closely or at all. But it'd be very interesting if they were showing up and the whole point of the podcast and the whole point of the channel was to woo brands to joining the company. That would be very interesting, allegedly. But moving on. Being an independent creator should mean something. And it doesn't mean what you probably are thinking it means. Give you great examples. Gamers Nexus does let some of the product brands that they review sponsor. They try not to. They have their own line of things, you know, mats and accessories and stuff that they sell that are computer related. Again, I'm pulling the example from the tech YouTube side because they're way further ahead and progressive when it comes to the detailing side. They let brands run ads on their channel. They let Arctic Cooling run ads because Arctic Cooling has a great product for a good price. It ticks the boxes. They've tested it. They don't let them run an ad before they've vetted the product and made sure the results stack up. They have to do the review. They have to test the product. They purchase it or whatever. They do that thing. But once they've verified, oh yeah, this is a good product. The people at this company are making a good product, and you know they're going to have reps and stuff they deal with. Just like even me at my tiny little size, I've got people I talk to from certain brands when it comes to certain information or getting a product. I've got a person I talk to at Cerakote. I've talked to the people at ADS. And I'll reference that example a little in a second. But if you've got good people with good products and a company that's doing things properly, there's nothing wrong with letting them run an ad on your channel. Nothing wrong with letting them sponsor your channel. There's a huge thing, not a caveat, but a requirement, which is on the creator. If that company has an issue, if that company screws up, you need to be the first person to say it. If I I've used ADS Phobic. I really enjoyed using that. I coated my wheels with it. I've coated a car with it that I detailed, and I've tested it out, and it seems to be doing great. Spoiler alert, I just did the 2-month wash on the hood. It seems to be doing great. If ADS reached out to me and said, hey, we'd like to, sponsor you to run an ad on one of your videos. 2 requirements. That ad does not run on a video from ADS. That's first and foremost. And if they want to run an ad on a video about their product, it's not a review. It is a showcase. It is a promotion. And there's nothing wrong with that. I could do a video. Genuinely could do a video showcasing how to use ADS and applying it to a car and letting them sponsor that video. But it is not my review of that product. Now, I could run one of their ads on another brand's video because I'm not talking about that product in that video, so that review doesn't have a conflict. But, and forgive me ADS if you're watching, forgive me because this is a super hypothetical. Say they jump off a cliff with their company, they make a bunch of inflammatory statements, or their products all turn out to be garbage 1 year and a day, or whatever it happens to be. Again, not the case, not true, don't sue me. But should they have an issue like that where all of a sudden the product you've done a sponsorship or a spot for, all of a sudden it's not what it's supposed to be, it's not what it's meant to be, it's not what they said it would be, you're the first person to say it. You have to say it. You have to go, just so you know, I don't even want to say ADS because they're so not involved with this, but brand X, forgive me ADS, brand X is actually killing animals to make their products or whatever the hell it would be. And that's terrible. And we've used them as a sponsor, but no more. We will not let them sponsor. We don't support this content. We don't support this brand. We don't support these decisions, actions, whatever it is. You have to be that person to say that. That's what makes you independent. That's what gives your audience trust. You have to be the person to call that stuff out right away as soon as you know and it's verified. That's how it works. That's how it works in tech. That's how it works in every other genre of YouTube except for detailing. All that shit either doesn't happen or it's all behind the curtains. It's behind the curtains. And it's back scratching, That's what makes you independent because you don't care if you hurt a brand. And this is going to lead into a... Give me while I read. This is going to lead into a topic which can be tough for some people to swallow. Excuse me, legs falling asleep. Brands are not people. Brands are not people. They are brands. They are companies. They are businesses. They have profits. They need to sell product. They need to make money to stay afloat, to prosper, for people to make money. There's all kinds of reasons why a brand needs to make money. Majority of it is so they are still around. They do not get the same treatment as people. You do not treat brands the same way you treat people. And that's a tough thing. And it's something I've had a few conversations about leading up to this. About when you have friendships with people at brands. And it is a tough line to walk. It's not easy, But let's just think about that word for a second. Friend. You don't lie to a friend. And you don't lie for a friend. You tell them the truth. And if you've got friends at brands that are not, doing right by your opinion, you don't hide it. And this leads to that whole thing. And this is where I am going to specifically reference ADS and how well they handled this. My ADS beads video. I bought the product, genuinely think it would be competitive. I thought this product would work great and it would be, the brand has a lot of hype around them. Thought, okay, maybe this, spray on rinse off products, especially through the wintertime, they're so popular because you can't dry easily, so anything that helps you dry, yada, yada. It didn't work for me. And I talked to some people where it worked great and other people where it didn't work. And I was all over the map. And so, you know, I bought the product from Carzilla. I reached out to them. They sent me another one. I tried that out. It didn't work. I reached out to ADS and they said, we want to get to the bottom of this. So this is a negative, right? This is what I've been referencing prior. This is a negative. But what's the positive? The positive is that ADS listened to what I said, trusted what I said, and committed themselves to try and find a resolution. So maybe I haven't yet got a video out where I can showcase beads working properly. It's hot now, so it's coming up. But I don't care whether or not I've made a video about it working because I was so impressed with how ADS handled it. That's taking the negative and turning it into a positive. Yeah, maybe this doesn't work in cold climates. Again, jury's out. We don't know yet. We got to retest and figure out what's going on. But maybe there is, maybe there isn't. But the brand stood behind me and gave me the confidence to know that if I do have an issue, they will listen. They'll be there. They won't blow me off. They won't tell me, no, you're just screwing it up and try and bury me. They genuinely listen. And yeah, maybe, you know, having a YouTube channel didn't hurt, but I don't think for a second that they wouldn't do that for anyone else. And obviously you always reach out first to the place you bought it. And if you didn't buy it direct, then you go to there. And then if you can't reach a resolution, then, you know, you can easily, I didn't have any special back channel. I just went to their website, found their contact us and did it there. That's how I did it. And the fact that they went that far, they shipped me a product straight from Florida to British Columbia, Canada, that they took the product, they tested it out, they sent me video footage of it working there, sent it to me and said, we've verified this works, we want to make sure this works for you, and if it doesn't, then we'll go from there. And the resolution I sort of came to after going through the testing before releasing the video is that, you know, I'm going to wait till it gets warmer and see if, let's rule out the ambient and the winter and all this crap. Let's just wait until summer and try again. And we're coming up to that. But the whole time I told ADS, like, regardless of how this goes, the video is going out. The video is going out. I would like to get further along with the diagnosis, but regardless, this video is going live. People will know that I didn't have a good experience with this, and they didn't care. And that's what you look for. That's how things work. And that's what it means to have a friend. If you are dealing with people at a brand and you have a bad experience or you have a product that doesn't work, you need to tell them. Because if they don't react well, if they think they brush you off, if they argue with you, if they don't, you don't have a friend. You had a brand. That's the difference. So for the people out there, for the small channels, for the other creators, if you're struggling with this thing, you know, you want to just coast, you know, you just want to take products and do content and stuff, that's fine. Eventually you're going to run into this. Eventually this is going to happen. If you get to the size or the reach or the influence or whatever that happens to be, this will come up. And that's what you need to look for. You need to look for the response to the criticism. And be good. Do your due diligence, obviously. Like, don't hack it together. But that's what you look for. So, yeah. But basically, sorry, as I read, creators need more power in this equation, specifically independent creators. And I'm not talking about myself. I'm not making the type of educational content that a lot of people, including the people who I'm talking about, they're making good content. There's nothing wrong with their content. There's nothing wrong with what they've done in their past and what they've built up. There's nothing wrong with that. They've done a lot of educational work. They've done a lot of showcasing work. There's nothing wrong with a commercial. There's nothing wrong with an advertisement. A lot of people only watch the Super Bowl to watch the ads. So let's be real here. Myself included. I don't care about football or soccer or whatever you want to call it. There's nothing wrong with that. But creators should always side with the consumer. Creators should always side with the viewer. Never the brand over those. That's just not how this works. That's not productive. That is not good for everyone involved. The consumer, yes, there's people out there. There's bad actors. They are there. They're not that many. Genuinely, they're not that many. There is certain people, but it's just, it's not a phenomenon that, you know, people want to make it out where, you know, it doesn't happen enough for a creator to genuinely have to always stand on the side of the brand in defense of these bad actors. They're few and far between. Genuinely speaking and generally speaking, consumers usually mean well. There can be an educational barrier, and that's why educational content is very important. I don't do a ton of that, to be totally fair. A lot of the other channels do. I'm not a great place for educational content. Excuse me. The main reason is because I am not a full-time detailer. I don't feel like I should be the person doing that type of content, because the hypocrisy of it is that I don't do this full-time and that kind of stuff. But when it comes to how creators need to behave and how this needs to go, and forgive the LinkedIn speak, but the paradigm shift. We'll put a pin in the other topics and we'll circle back. But the shift that needs to happen with the narrative of detailing channels and brands and how we work together needs to change. Creators should be able to be sponsored, have a video where they go, this video is sponsored by brand X, and what we're going to do today is look at this. And I have seen enough of these videos in other genres where even the sponsored video brings up some criticisms. And yes, when you're getting paid to make a video, there will be conditions about what you can and cannot talk about. And if those are deal breakers, then don't do it. But creators deserve to be compensated for their time. They deserve to be able to make money. But that doesn't mean that they're bad. The brand and the product need to be vetted and be on the up and up. And as long as they are, then there's no reason not to. Like, I could, tomorrow, I could make a sponsored video for Phobic because I think it's great. I genuinely think it's great. It's like Quartz Light, but much easier to use. There's a cure time. This is the only difference. The only difference is a cure time. And I haven't given it enough time on the hood for the long-term longevity because Quartz Light lasts a long time. But I have no doubt so far that it's doing its job. And I could totally make a sponsored video of that without losing a second of sleep. And that should be okay. That should be okay. And other creators should be able to do this. And brands should be able to do this with creators. But again, everything needs to be on the up and up. This is the positive out of the negative. And yes, we started off on an interesting topic. And I'll tell you right now, when I made my clean spray sealant video, I had no idea. I had no idea that this is what was going on. And for all the things that were allegedly. But I just saw it as, you know, hey, you're content creators and reviewers and now you've got brands, and that doesn't happen overnight. That's conflict of interest. But everything else going on with this, it didn't need to happen. It didn't need to be a big deal. Your actions made it a big deal. And foolish on your part, take your ribbing, move on. But, you know, people want to support you. People like your product. You can't have genuinely terrible products and survive. So again, maybe time will tell, but I'll tell you right now, I have been using a lot of products from DIY Detail. In my last details, I've been using their spray polish for the last 2 or 3 cars I've polished. Worked out great. I did a test spot and I was like, hey, this gave me the results I was looking for, and I just carried on. Worked fine. Their rinseless wash works fine. Their panel prep works fine. I don't have all of their catalog. For example, their 3-year graphene coating. I had tested it on the hood and it failed, and that's what led to the water spot remover thing. But I put it on the roof of my van, I think over 2 months ago. I think it was the end of March. And it's day one, looks great. I've washed it multiple times. I've taken the car through touchless washes because when I test ceramic coatings, I subject them to touchless washes. And it's looking fantastic. It's doing great. So clearly, the issue I had with that product was it was just expired. It's just an old product in a bottle that a viewer generously sent me to try and make content out of and save me having to buy a whole bottle to do a test panel this big. You know, we tried and it didn't work, but that product is working for me. And, you know, who knows what goes on down the road. And oh my God, it's getting hot in here. But, you know, like I can say positive things about these brands and criticize them at the same time. So yeah. So I guess now would be the time, because I'm looking at my notes and I think I've touched on everything, to talk about the whole legal side. There has been legal cease and desist, yada yada, at some people for stating some things publicly on YouTube. And that is why it took me so long to make this video. I would have made this months ago had I known. But here's what I came up with. This video, as it stands right now, is going to have some elements of it that will have a copyright on them because I pay for a license for a music subscription. So I haven't yet because I'm still filming this, but I will be making a second version of this that doesn't have any copyright strikes on it. It is fully free from all possible things. The only person who can copyright strike that version of it is me. If I receive any cease and desist letter, if I receive any words or threats of any kind, that video will be linked in a post on my channel to download for free. And anyone can upload it to any platform and I will not copyright strike it. So that's your warning. If you try to have this video taken down or if you try to take legal action against me, I will make this video available to everyone. And I will encourage everyone to upload it and I will not copyright strike them. I will let them have the views, I will let them have the subscribers and whatever they want. This information needs to be out there. And not because of the negative side, but because of what it needs to turn into, what needs to change. This needs to be out there. And yeah, I will make sure that this video exists in some form, some fashion, somewhere, if you take action. So let that be your warning. I'm not screwing around. You know, I can make a whole bunch of channels and continue to upload it too. So if you do that, that will happen. So don't do that. Don't be stupid. Learn from this. Move on. Progress. Evolve. Get better. Get everyone. Rising tide lifts all ships. Let's work towards that. Don't make this worse. So that's all I have to say about that. You know, to the people who I'm talking about, you know, I get it. But the decisions were poor. And allegedly or whatever. But yeah, so my piece of advice to everyone involved who may or may not be caught up in this: give your balls a tug.